you have to understand that you have 5 pillars. First one is a delayed sense of gratification. The marshmallow test. It's the most famous one everyone talks about. You have to have a vision of that, who you want to be in 5 years and the type of person you want to be. Once you have that vision, you have to acknowledge that it's going to take you a while to get there, right? Then you have to be adaptable. So you have to move away from this all or nothing mindset, right? Monday, you might be able to hit every habit and every goal that you want. Tuesday, you might be on a plane. Wednesday, you might be in an office all day. Thursday, you might be on a plane again. Friday, you can hit all your habits again. So you have to be adaptable. You have to be persistent. You have to be consistent, and you have to show up. Once we do that, and I get them to understand that whole dynamic, I say, okay, let's set up an ideal day for you first. Like the best day where you're not overwhelmed at work during the work week. What time you will get up? And they'll say, well, my idea is I want to be in bed by 10, asleep by 11. I go, okay, great. So let's say the goal is 7 to 8 hours, and we'll call it 7.5 hours. So then you get up at 7:30. What are your obligations on that Monday? Well, my wife takes care of everything on Monday. Great. And we'll establish a set of habits in the morning, a set of habits that they want to do in the afternoon, a set of habits they want to do in the evening, like a reasonable but push habits, and habits they want to do throughout the day. I go, great. That's your ideal day. What's your bare minimum day? Well, what do you mean bare minimum? What's the day where you wake up tired and exhausted and you don't feel like doing anything and you're jet lagged, or you got into a fight with your wife the night before, or you were at a wedding or a birthday or a party and you woke up hungover the next day? What is the base? What is the bare minimum? Right? And that's the part that people don't get. So we establish a base habits, and then we set up the perfect day, and then we say you're going to be somewhere in the middle every day. And that's the goal, right? You're not going to be 100%. You're not going to be a 0. You're going to be somewhere in the middle. Now, this middle good for you? And then we kind of work on it from there.
As a high achiever, don't they come back and you'd be like, no, I need to be, I can't be in the middle.
Every time. And it's because, every time I get people that are like, what do you mean? I'm a high achiever. I work 70 hours a week and I go to the gym. I'm like, how's your marriage? And they'll pause and they'll be like, what? I'm like, how's your marriage? Oh, I don't know. When was the last time you and your wife hung out together? And they'll just stare at me. How is your relationship with your kids? Do you have any friends? And they'll just stare at me. I'm like, you're not prioritizing. You're trying to be this robot. And then you have to remember that it's not just about making money. It's not just about traveling. It's understanding that you have to encompass everything. And we all have different seasons. When you're in, my younger clients, I always like my 20 and 30-year-olds. I'm always like, dude, when you're in your 20s and 30s, throw work-life balance out the door. Work. Hustle. I worked 80 hours a week. The reason why I have this business is because when I was in my 20s, I got into the office at 7 a.m. and worked till 9. Now, I'm not saying you should do what I do completely because I'm an extremist and I didn't take care of myself, but work, build relationships, go out, have fun. Because when you're in your 40s, hopefully you're married, you have kids maybe not, right? You have to prioritize your health more, but you also have to prioritize your relationships, because if you don't, when you're in your 60s, you're going to look around, and I have clients like this, and they look up and they're like, I have all this money and no friends. Or I have all this money, I'm really successful, but I don't talk to my kids. What do I do? Help me. Why wait till then? Find that middle, as the Buddha said, the middle way, right? You want to look at your life and you want to be a guitar string, right? You want to be that musical string. If you're too tight, right? You're trying to do too much. What happens? You break, right? If you're too loose, you don't make any music. But if you're just in the middle and you just set it right, you make that beautiful note and you just play, and life gets easier. And you just get into that flow because you're carving out enough time for your career, for your family, for your friends, for your community, for your health, because you're being more realistic and you're not creating what we call social implicit theory, where we're comparing ourselves to this idealized hyper performance individual and thinking that somehow this individual that we see on TV who's like has this perfect life that isn't real, right? Every day we are always working on something, right? I tell this to clients all the time, right? The goal of coaching is for you to be more self-aware, right? You might have tomorrow, it might be your finances, right? And you might have to work through some financial challenges. Next month, it might be time with your wife and struggling in your marriage. 6 months from now, it might be your health. A year from now, it might be your career, that your company's downsizing or the technology is making your position obsolete. Then it's your elderly parents maybe. Then it's back to your health. There's always going to be something in your life that needs to be worked on. There's never a moment where you're going to not be out of balance. There's never going to be a moment where everything's just perfect. We live in a world of constant change. Death is the only absolute. So change is the only absolute. And so we are always needing to reevaluate and adjust based on our expectations and to be adaptable and to stop trying to live up to these ideal versions that are unattainable, right? We don't want to be sloth, right? We don't want to be sitting on social media for 4 hours at night, but we don't want to neglect the other areas of our lives either while we're trying to obtain this coda performance.